Today, we are talking about the 5 conflict resolution styles. Do you know your conflict resolution style? Do you know what your preference is in addressing and resolving conflict? I am Dr. Tanja Thompson. I'm trying to get stuff situated, and of course, nothing wants to act right when you get started. The 5 conflict resolution styles. So, do you know what your conflict resolution style? Do you know what your preferred fighting style is? Oftentimes we get into situations and we don't know why and how we respond and react to some of these things. I.e., example, let's say that you have a manager and that individual is a micromanager. And let's say that you are, let's say for all practice, an introvert. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with a narcissistic boss? How do you deal with an overbearing boss? Everyone has everyone has some form of fashion of or element of the conflict resolution styles. And oftentimes we use them based on situations. But but we do have a preference. And that is usually our go-to in dealing with conflict and conflict situations. So your conflict resolution styles are different methods of for addressing conflict. And everyone, as I mentioned earlier, has a default or a go-to style. I'm very familiar with my go-to style is, and I am sometimes what's the word, surprised at it, and other individuals are too, because of the type of work that I do. So using these different styles in different contexts may result in a better outcome. So you heard this old phrase that says, when you know better, you do better. So this is an opportunity to know what your fighting style is, not like kung fu or no, but how we can better address and deal with things that are happening in our lives. And a lot of times we're just watching TV, or we are at a gas station, we are working with a team or working with a group or a manager, a supervisor, sometimes just going to the cleaners. And it can sometimes trigger us into fight or flight, but then also homing in and, I guess in another word, just pulling in and dealing with a particular issue. So the 5 style types is: one is accommodation, avoidance. Another one, avoidance. You'll be surprised of the number of people that avoid conflict. It amazes me. As I mentioned, compromise, competition. So if you think about, avoidance is on one end of the horizon, and competition is on the other end of the horizon. So think about it. And the last one is collaboration. So when you put these 5 on, let's say, a graph, where you have one has to deal with the importance of the relationship, and the other one has to do with the importance of the goal. So if the relationship is high and the importance of the goal or the action is on the other end, sometimes that is more important. So think about those individuals where the goal is definitely more important, and or the relationship is more important. So let's deep dive into these different type of styles that we sometimes or very often deal with in our day-to-day life, especially at work. So a lot of this is definitely relative to the workplace. people that we work with at work, as well as that we deal with. Sometimes it has to do with supervisors, managers, and let's say just even those customers that come in, or program manager, project manager. All, what about the police? What about firefighters or hospitals? When you're dealing with an issue where you have a mom or a relative in the hospital, those styles or things that you exhibit, those are our conflict styles. Now, mind you, as I mentioned earlier, we all have a default that we go to, the one that we use more often, but we have to be able to be on the continuum of conflict resolution styles, meaning avoidance, competition, collaboration, competing, compromise, all of those. We need to be able to utilize them all. So let me just give you a brief synopsis of each of those, and I'll give you a workplace situation that might come into play. But before we go there, you know what it is. My name is Dr. Tanja Thompson, and I am the conflict resolution buster. One thing for sure and another thing for certain: conflict is inevitable. Don't forget to like, share, hit the bell so that you get notifications of when I come online talking about either my service dog, who is Captain, and or when I'm talking about conflict resolution. So today is really about conflict resolution. Hey, bruh, what's going on? I know you on that highway trying to make it back to the Indy, the 46803. Yeah, yo. So let's get down into it. So I mentioned there are 5 styles. So think about a particular style, think about the relationship, and then the goal is on one end of the spectrum and relationship is on the other. So we're going to talk about accommodation. So you think about accommodation, what do you think about? So let's just read. I'm going to tell you what accommodation is, and then go into a little bit more detail. So accommodation is giving up what you want in order to let them get what they want. Is putting aside one's own needs and concerns in order to satisfy the needs of the other person. So in essence is like, you know what? I'm just going to let you in. I'm going to accommodate you and give you this because maybe it's more important to you. So in essence, you're giving up something and they're gaining something. So you satisfy your concerns. I satisfy your concerns at my expense. Think about that. I satisfy your concerns at my expense. So let me just give you something. Everybody likes money. Everyone needs money. In this world, we cannot not have money or some type of currency to be able to what? To pay our bills, to buy the things that we want. So accommodating, like I mentioned, is satisfy their concerns at your expense. So let's say that you down to your last $50, $60. And you see this bad purse that you want to buy. You really, really want this. But someone comes to you, being a friend or a relative, and says, listen, my lights is off. I need gas in my car. So what do? You give them that money so that they can pay for their lights or car insurance or what have you. So you satisfied your concerns. mean, I'm going to satisfy my concerns. Yeah, no, actually, you're satisfying their concerns at your expense. So let me tell you when I often see this. And you sometimes see this in individuals there, as I mentioned, in the workplace and or family. Let me give you, so before I give you when you use this, the best place to practice is with family and friends and in stores. You'd be surprised at how it truly makes a difference in the teaching. I'm all about learning experiences, but we sometimes need a safe place to have these learning experiences. So I use them on my family and my friends so that when I go to work, I'm the expert. They like, girl, you really know how to do this. Yes, because when I show up, I show out. So let me give you 3 examples of when to use. So one, again, the relationship with the person is more important than the outcome. So when I gave that example, I mentioned that I had the money and I wanted to buy something. But if my child or my brother Russell came in and said, sis, I need some money. I need to get some gas to get back to Indiana. Best believe I'm going to give him the $50, $60 so that he can get gas to go back to Indiana. That's when the relationship, you think about really an accommodation, and accommodating is really about the relationship. Or it's just best to reach a quick decision because it's just a temporary solution. Because at the end of the day, you get that $50, $60, you're going to need to get some gas tomorrow, the next day. So how do you do it? So it's a temporary fix to a temporary solution. Absolutely. But it's quick. And sometimes you realize that you may be wrong, but I think in accommodating is really about the relationship is more important than the goal. All right. Now, we all have a conflict resolution style, right? One that it is our go-to. It is our default. This is where we slide to on most occasions. And that is the lady in the church Sunday said that the lady in front of her was short on her groceries and she was compelled to pay for the lady's. Right, Russell. Wow. Right. So she gave up her money to give to the lady so that she can pay for her groceries. Absolutely. Oh, man. You must be on and knowing about these things. Go on with your bad self. That's what I'm talking about. Accommodating others. And you know what? If you do it and you do it in love and you do it at grace, it is not a sacrifice. So thumbs up to the lady. Thumbs up to those that may be at their last $5 or $10 and give to the homeless person. Again, it's just a temporary solution. But it's a quick reach. It's quick. It's something that usually happens. Like, so now we're going to move on. So we've talked about accommodations or accommodation. Now we're going to talk about avoidance. So can I say, believe it or not, most people don't believe this, but I am a avoider. I try not to get involved in situations. I really don't even like talking to people. Yes, I do. That's really from my brother Russell. So, avoidance is knowing that there is a conflict, but choosing not to deal with it. Can I say that there are so many people in the world that are avoiders? A lot of supervisors and managers are avoiders. They rather avoid the conflict than deal with it. So you know what happens when they avoid it? It just goes that much longer. It never gets resolved, and the people dig in deeper because management has not resolved the issue. Says avoiders do not acknowledge or talk about the conflict with the other person and maybe avoid the person with whom he or she is having a conflict. That's what it said on the paper. And then with avoiders, no one wins. No one, neither you nor I have a satisfactory outcome. So let me give you an example of professions that are, I wouldn't say often, but that I see are avoiders. So let me tell you this too. Just because you have an education and just because you've gone to school does not mean that you are not an avoider. Let me tell you, the ones that I see more often than anything that are avoiders are veterinarians, medical professionals, and even sometimes attorneys. So think about this. One of the things they don't teach in school is conflict resolution. Yeah, they don't teach you how to address and resolve conflict. Most of the time at colleges and universities, they teach you the primary elements relative to the job. They don't teach you the people skills. They may teach you how to go to LERD, which is Labor, Employee, and Relations Development section, to write up something for someone based on conduct and behavior. But they don't teach conflict resolution. I've done a number of different talks to medical professionals. Think about doctors. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer the second time, I was in the doctor's office, and I'll never forget this. I'm sitting across the table from her. She reads off the diagnosis and never even looks up from the desk or the table. Can you imagine how that made me feel? Can you imagine the feeling of someone receiving that type of notice or that type of diagnosis, and the healthcare provider never even looks up from the table to acknowledge you? That's why I said never go to an appointment by yourself. Let me tell you about veterinarians. Especially, veterinarians, they go to school, right? They go to school to deal with animals. Animals don't talk back. No, they do not. So a lot of times, some of these individuals are going into jobs where they're supervisors and managers and have no people skills whatsoever. Another profession, and I've seen this, and that's sometimes with teachers. Teachers will sometimes, and we've definitely seen this in the African American community, where our children are just being pushed along. You know why? It's because some of these teachers rather not have a conversation with you. They rather not have the hard conversations to say, hey, Johnny, Mary, Sue, are not performing at grade level. Woo! Can you imagine the conversation of what you could hear from a parent when you tell them that they little Johnny, Mary, or Sue is not performing on grade level? The first thing they're going to look at is you and what you haven't done. Now think about that. Think about that as a 5th grade teacher, and little Mary, Sally, John, Anthony can't even do simple fractions. They can't even do simple multiplication. So sometimes you just rather avoid because you know that the parent or whomever is not even going to sometimes address, well, yeah, when they address the issue, they're going to address the issue that something's wrong with you. So let's just go into use when individuals use this. When, what was I just talking about, teachers? When the harm outweighs the potential benefits. Why would I say anything to Johnny and Mary Sue's mother when I know they're just going to pop off? When I know they're not going to be on my side, but a lot of times come into the school with an attitude. But yet, do you see them at any PTA meetings? Nope. Do you see them at any functions? Nope. But let there be a Beyonce concert somewhere. Let there be a Jay-Z or what's them sneakers? Air Force Ones or something being sold somewhere. They be quick to be there for that. But they won't be there at a school conference meeting. No. Sometimes time is needed to collect the information, or better yet, just to cool down. So just imagine someone that says something really nasty to you, and the first thing you want to do is retaliate in kind. So one of the things I've learned, if two people are fussing or arguing, then who's the fool? So sometimes you just need to calm down and maybe address the issue the next day. And sometimes you just need to be able to walk away. But always find or be in a safe place where you can exit when you may be addressed or dealing with someone, especially if you're an avoider, when that's your go-to. When someone else can be more, maybe someone else can be more effective at reaching the resolution. Maybe you have a colleague that's there with you that can address the issue. You see this in parent-teacher conferences. You see this when parents are have a child that may be on an IAP, an individual development plan, where there may be an advocate that's there that supports the parent, because sometimes the parents don't understand some of the terminology because they're good for using acronyms, and that maybe this is that time that you bring in someone that can be impartial, maybe an attorney, maybe not necessarily impartial, but more so on your side. And sometimes the outcome is not that important considering the big picture, especially when change is not possible, especially when it may not be realistic. Sometimes being an avoider isn't a good place to be. So let's go move on to, and maybe those that are online can give some examples of maybe what a avoider looks like, or maybe a situation that you had to avoid because the relationship was more important, and that the goal wasn't, and maybe it was a situation that safety may have been the issue, and those new Jordans. So compromise. You know what? I like compromise because I give up some of my concerns to satisfy you, and you give up some as well. So that's like splitting it in half. And I got a little story about that one too. So compromise. So compromise is definitely splitting 50-50, splitting it in half. So let's say, for an example, you want to buy something and it actually benefits you both. So you split it right down the middle, where both individuals come out as a win-win. I see this as a win-win. Compromise is win-win. A lot of times it takes a little longer to be in a compromise, a compromising, not a compromising situation, but a compromise. A lot of times you don't see this when there needs to be a quick resolution, because compromises can take a little while, and it's an attempt to seek the middle group, the middle ground. So when do you use this? You need to achieve a temporary solution for a complex situation. So think about definitely in politics. Ooh. You got the Democrats, you got the Republicans, and here, well, I think is next week or in 2 weeks, I think it is. They're going back and forth about the what is it? The continuing resolution in funding the federal government. Now, it's eventually going to be done, but a lot of times it takes a lot of time, and sometimes you come up with a temporary solution for a complex issue, but it's just temporary, meaning that you have to come back. So right now, we're on our second CR, continuing resolution. The compromise that they made was temporary because the issues is extremely important as it relates to funding the government and other governmental agencies and resources for people out in the workforce. And sometimes it's used when the decision is time sensitive and not just fighting over at that particular time. Sometimes you just decide to just put it off for a little while. Two parties of equal power are strongly committed to the mutual exclusive goal. That's what we're seeing right now in Congress. In Congress, deciding to continue with the resolution, and even this war that we're having. Because just think about it. Whew. A lot of money, a lot of lives are being lost. So how do you compromise on that? No one should have to be in some of the situations that we are experiencing right now. Competition. Do I really need to say what competition is? Woo! Competition means that I win and you lose. I get what I want, I get what I need at your expense. We don't have to go far to think about competition. You see it at work, where you have someone that all they think about is win, 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 win. We really, really see it on any given Sunday. What happens on any given Sunday? You all know. I don't even have to tell you. Football. Every Sunday, there's winners and losers. One is competing against the other. Football is $1 billion, maybe even $1 trillion industry where individuals run up and down the field. They have bragging rights of who won the game. And not mention who has the best helmets and the best uniforms. Who gets to wear the crown? Listen, what is it that's coming up in 2 weeks? Super Bowl. And what they get to wear? The Super Bowl ring, right? Because everyone, especially those that's playing the game, that makes it to the finals, those last two teams, they want to get that Super Bowl ring. So with competition, when we talk about relationships and we talk about goals, with football, the goal is the prize, meaning that the goal is more important than maintaining or keeping that relationship. Think about it. We just have to use football or any other sport, basketball, soccer, hockey, race car. The one that makes it across that goal line is the winner, and they win a big, big prize. So in competition, and we all need a little bit healthy, competition is actually healthy. At least it can be healthy. It's when it is not that it turns down a road of no return. You have a lot of people that are just all about the goal, all about winning, winning, winning. I'm going to tell you right now, I have a small dose of competition, of winning, but at the end of the day, I'm just really about trying to avoid conflict. These people right here, and you see them, they're the ones hollering, screaming, and jumping, about the winner. And you would actually think, and these are people on the sideline, you would actually think that they are the ones out there playing the game. They got the t-shirts, they got the gear. My son, 24 years old, walking around with a title belt, $400 and some dollars. Competition. Wrestling. Grown men walking around with title belts. Like they don't, listen, most of them wouldn't even be able to take a lick, let alone take a hit. But that's competition. We always want to be on the winning team. We wear the jerseys because that's our team. And let me tell you what, some arenas, some football arenas, you can't even be on the opposite side team with the opposite side colors on. Because if so, you liable to get squashed like a bug. Conflict resolution buster, Dr. Tanja Thompson. Be sure to like, subscribe, and click the bell and share this good information. Now we're going to go to one of the last, I think, and maybe one or either two more. Yeah, just one more. And that is collaboration. Now, collaboration is good. Very often when individuals are on teams and on groups and they're trying to develop, let's say, a new concept, a new product, there's a lot of collaboration. There's a lot of going back and forth where these individuals will really take the personal out of what they're doing and really want to hear and listen to the individual's concepts. Because with collaboration, and especially if they have a goal to get to, and collaboration is where the relationship is high, but then the goal is high as well, meaning they're really trying to get to where they need to be, reference to product development. Let's think about even opening up a store or deciding that you're going to sell a new product. You got people coming together with a very similar goal. So collaboration is talking through the differences. You're really trying to uncover what each individual needs, but it's also uncovering the unknown, unearthing what you are not familiar with, getting very uncomfortable being uncomfortable. And this is very solution driven, where people that are involved, they really want to solve the problem. They really want to solve the issue. And when people come together with a solution, it can really do great things for the team, do for the organization as well as the group. And you think about a supervisor. We talked about these concepts being in the workplace. Think about, you have a team, you have a supervisor. Well, you have a supervisor that actually listens, that they actually want to hear your opinions and your ideas. And when you do voice them, they just don't shuck away. They just don't go and use it. We've seen this before, where you come up with an idea at the time. The boss or the supervisor says, "Oh, that's stupid. That doesn't make any sense." But yet next thing you turn around, they don't use your idea that they said was stupid. That's not a good boss. That isn't what this is. But this is when individuals come together, especially with bosses in the team, and really wanted to hear, to make the organization better, to improve the mission of the organization, so that at the end of the day, everyone that is there feels good about being there, and they go home feeling like they've accomplished something. So again, the relationships are both important. Reaching consensus is paramount, especially when you think about teams and groups working together with a common goal. And here you gain commitment and acceptance, and people accept you for who you are, which is phenomenal. So, this conflict resolution, we talked about the 5 different types of conflict resolution. I know I'm moving. Next time, I'm gonna make sure I have this on something that is stable. So we talk about accommodation. We talked about avoidance. We talked about compromise, competition, and collaboration. Accommodation is that I give you my sacrifice. I sacrifice to give you something. Avoidance is I'd rather not even deal with the situation. I'm going to be like an ostrich and put my head in the sand so that I don't have to deal with these issues that are going on in the workplace. Compromise is that both people win. I give up something, you give up something. Sometimes it could. The thing about compromise too, sometimes it doesn't take as long, especially. So, I was going to give you a story about compromise. So, this is the story. So, you have 2 individuals that are in the break room, and they see the orange. Both individuals want the orange. So, they're fussing, going back and forth about this orange. So, the supervisor hears this and have each individual sit down. And the supervisor asks, well, John, why did you want the orange? Well, I want the orange because I want to make juice. Oh, okay. Well, Anthony, why did you want the orange? Well, I just want the skin to make potpourri and dry out the skin. So think about it. Both individuals actually won. But it's not until we sit down and have these conversations, we have these discussions, that we actually truly figure out what is it that people want and people need. So the orange was able to serve as juice. The individual was able to use the seeds to grow more oranges, and the other individual was able to use the skin to make potpourri. So think about it. If you move that up a little bit where the relationship and goal is the same, it could very well be that the one that wanted the juice and the seeds, that now he's making more oranges. So that means that the individual that wants the skin, he actually gets some more skin so that he can make potpourri. That's what you call collaboration, where individuals come up with ideas that is good for the organization or for the group. And competition, we already know that Super Bowl is right around the corner. I think this Sunday is it this Sunday or maybe the next Sunday? The 2 teams that's going to be in the Super Bowl will be determined. All right, now, I don't know who's going to be. I don't know who you have, but that is competition, meaning that the goal is more important, meaning there has to be a winner and there has to be a loser. And the winner is the one that's going to keep on going to get to the Super Bowl so they can get that what? That Super Bowl ring. Again, this is Tanya Thompson, your conflict resolution buster. One thing for sure and another thing for certain, conflict is inevitable. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with others so that they too can learn some very, very valuable conflict resolution styles, some conflict resolution tips, skills that you can use every single day of your life. Because again, conflict is inevitable. It is going to happen. And it probably happens. It does. It happens every day. And we see it. We see it when we turn on the news, where someone is shot up a school, where someone is shot up a hospital, where someone is angry, meaning that they're gone postal and going to a job and killing people there. So let's find ways that we learn how to use these conflict resolution styles in our jobs, with our health providers, with our first responders, so that at the end of the day, we are all able to make it home. That we're able to make it home safe and sound. Next week, or maybe tomorrow, because my goal is to do a number of these per week, and that is really deep diving into my next 5 to deep dive more so into the conflict resolution styles, where I really talk about them for the entire time. And hopefully you can join me and we can really have a collaborative discussion about the conflict resolution styles. Again, my name is Dr. Tanja Thompson, conflict resolution buster. One thing for sure and another thing for certain, conflict is inevitable. Don't forget to like, share, and ring the bell so that you get notified when I come online again. Thank you and have a great rest of your day.